Okay, so Mr. Ian Hogg,
Mr.
20
Connorsly.
years as senior clerk. How's that feel?
It's surreal. It feels in part it's gone. It's flashed. It's flown past.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
flown past. Lots of changes, lots of things. Started off in a broom cupboard,
Yeah, where was that? Where was that?
Hamilton House, in the basement.
Oh, gosh.
And I would stand in the middle of the room. I put my arms outstretched and I could touch both sides of the wall. I'd see legs walking past me because it had the window with the bars on the inside. It was a cheap room. Um, and it had all this, it didn't have any computer in there, so I brought my own computer. It just had the files where you pull the drawers out and had the dividers in there for all of the cases and things.
How many people started?
Four
Four. Oh,
four
gosh.
people.
So how did you actually get into it then? As in, how did you,
Clerking.
start being a clerk?
When I left school back in '86, I hadn't got a clue what I wanted to do. My dad was a legal executive for Hexter Erskine, so he instructed counsel all the time. One of his good friends was a senior clerk at 12 Kingsbench Walk, Ron Mundy. He said basically he hadn't got a clue what I wanted to do. I was just working part-time at Waitrose and Safeways. He said, how about becoming a barrister's clerk? I mean, I just about knew what a barrister was, let alone barrister's clerk. So he lined me up with not an interview, it was just a sort of meet a friend to tell you all about the job. It was a dark, wintry, cold, wet November evening. I remember it really well because the temple was all lit up with the sort of the gas lamps, cobbles. It was, never having been to the temple in my life, to walk into the temple. Well, that's not quite true. I was actually did a bit of help from my dad's firm, but not in the capacity of it at night and the draw. It was surreal, and I thought I like this. And when I went into chambers and met the senior clerk and talked to him, and it felt real. It felt exciting. My dad then got me an interview with. It was two Hard Court buildings, chambers of Robin Stewart QC, and I got the job there on the 1st of July 1987. Junior clerk on a pittance, but it was an apprenticeship, and that was the way you viewed it. At that time, the starting salary was £8,000, and now we laugh at that. I started on 4. So I had 3 jobs. I would be a barrister's clerk until 6:30 in the evening. I'd work behind an Esso petrol station pump for 3 nights a week, and I'd be a lifeguard at the weekend. But I still could go clubbing with my friends on a Friday and Saturday. I used to drive an XR3i car that cost £1,000 a year to pay the, you know what I mean? But I could still do my boys' holiday to Corfu in the summer. But for us, we were told as junior clerks, you have to work your way up. But as my dad said, if you can see people in the job at his age, he said that's not a bad thing, because that means there's a job with progression.
Yeah.
And it's not just a young person's job.
Tell me then, but 20 years, I mean, why have you stayed in it though? I mean, 20 years as a senior clerk, barristers, we're a funny breed of people.
A challenge. It's a constant challenge. It's moving with the times, moving with the challenges. I mean, to be fair, up until we joined here, the challenges I felt were a lot. They were more challenging, I suppose. We didn't have the hierarchy that we've got here. We didn't really have the management set up that we have here now. And before it was a band of merry men, and we were cutting edge. You know, we were making our way, and I think it'd be very hard to even go back 10 years to the 20 and start all over again. I mean, I would find it very hard to start again in 20 years ago with 4 people.
What about drama? I mean, even in the time that I've been a member, there's been drama. I think back to the fire that we had in
2009.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about that, and then tell me about something else.
Yeah, well, 2000. I mean, the fire. Blimey, I remember I was literally in bed. It was circa 1 o'clock in the morning. I got a call from the lady downstairs, Jackie, who said, "I've got the fire crew for you. Your chambers is burning down. He wants to know if you can attend chambers." To which I said, firstly, I was absolutely stunned, and then coming in the following day was unbelievable. I mean, walking upstairs, it was like something out of the Titanic. I mean, the chandelier that sits prominently there was literally a couple of inches off the ground with the wire hanging down. The photocopier was a box when before it was there was glass everywhere. There was a hole in the floor. I mean, there was still the smoke. All the windows being blown in part with the fire hoses. I mean, it's absolute carnage. I mean, you know, the panelling had all gone. It's just all gone. Duncan's room had disintegrated. The carvings were just black shells, husks, if you like.
I mean, it was. I mean, I remember coming in the following day, and it was really, it was terrible. But what
I did was though, I mean, what I did. I mean, you can't dwell on. I mean, for me, you can't dwell on this. Life has to go on. I mean, you know, there were still people in court. There were still solicitors coming through the door. The outside world, I suppose, cared to hear about it, but it didn't really figure too much in their reckoning of what needed to be done on that day.
Because so many people didn't know that it happened.
Didn't. No,
It's astonishing.
And we didn't want to publicise that because to us, business is normal. So I remember getting most of the people that were around in the small conference room. I suppose I'm not dictating it, but I actually said this is how it's going to work, because obviously, quite frankly, anyone upstairs, pretty much forget it. But I got them all down there, I told them this is what's going to happen, and within 24 hours, we had another place to work. We relocated, with a lot of hard graft, I might add, to the top floor at New Court. And we instigated telecoms. I mean, we were in the weekends, we were working till 3 a.m, literally. I remember walking to Victoria Station when Pasha was chucking out, having just, been working all night, humping boxes up and down those stairs. Anyway, we did all that. And it was business as usual. It wasn't easy. Then after that, we had to leave there and then relocate again in Devereux Chambers. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. In fact, and what it kind of brings to me, which I'd like to know, actually, is what do you see as the most important quality for a senior clerk?
I mean, a senior clerk predominantly has to be a people's person. Yeah. I mean, forget computers to a degree. You've got to understand how people work, because no one person is always the same or is the same. It's I think, compassionate as well, a good listener. Someone that thinks quick on their feet and thinking, keeps updated with the times, keeps updated with what's going on in the law, keeps updated going on with fee structures and just with the mechanics of the business. I mean, the bar is changing so rapidly, the law is changing rapidly.
Yeah, actually, it's one of the things I always notice is when you and I discuss a case, and I think a number of people said it, is that actually a lot of times we'll discuss the law on it.
Yeah.
Which, most people would probably think, it's a clerk, whatever. But actually, you take as much interest in the legal aspect of the case.
They actually take a bit of comfort from the fact that you understand the issues and all the facts and have something to say about it. Because there's many a time I've actually mentioned to barrister and or solicitor, and they've said, that's right on the point, or I hadn't thought about that, I'll go back and look at that.
So you've had to adapt a lot, but what would you say, if I was to ask for kind of your proudest, either moment or what you're proudest of in terms of what you've achieved as a senior clerk, 20 years?
I mean, there's various things. Firstly, touch with the fact that I'm still here, in the sense that I don't know that many of my colleagues that have done 20 years as senior clerk. Most of them have retired at that period, and because they obviously started their senior clerk tenureship later than I did. I mean, I started because I set up from 4. Yeah. So most people, it's dead men's shoes. As my old senior clerk said to me, senior clerk's jobs are dead men's shoes. You either get them through people obviously passing away, getting sacked, or new jobs being created. Yeah. I mean, because once they're usually in that position, they don't normally give it up. They retire, or they're pushed out. So for me, I think the fact that we're still here, we're still going, we're still adapting, we're still fighting, we're still understanding, that's one thing. I think the fact that I've got several people that have been with me almost throughout. I mean, obviously Duncan's still here. You joined in 2000. I think Joe started in 1999. I mean, that's testament that the fact that there's some chemistry with us. We're all doing something right. We've had some good junior clerks under, I suppose, my leadership that have gone and done other good things. Yeah. So actually the fact that you can educate people, give people a good start, and I mean, well, doing something right there. And I think also the fact that we are just progressing and we continue to progress.
So what do you then see for the next 20 years? For the bar?
I think as much as I would love to see the bar obviously flourish and develop as it has done and come out of this. At the moment, the bar's going through uncertain times. We all know that the bar's going through uncertain times, and we obviously have to put our blinkers on and look forward. You can never look back. You have to look forward. You have to adapt. You have to develop. You can't fight the system because the system's not there to be fought. You have to run alongside and see what you can do.
Going back to Ian of as junior clerk, starting,
Yeah,
what was it, 87?
87, yeah.
87.
July 87.
What is the piece of advice you would give yourself then, if you, Ian, senior clerk now, could go back and talk to him?
Gosh, that's a hard one. Never assume anything is crystal. Never take counsel's advice.
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
The fact is, the bar's become more open for anyone who wants to make their way at the bar. Yeah. It's become more fair and free. Well, not free, but it's more open. You don't have to have gone to Oxford, Cambridge, and had a rich dad that puts you through it. You know, I suppose with that comes a greater reality of life. And, you know, you haven't got people behind you. You're making your path in the world. You haven't got someone writing out cheques behind you, so money's that much more important. But I suppose then, in those days, you saw barristers slightly in a different light. Quality-wise, diversity-wise, it's opened up massively. So it's a different place.
Yeah.
But I think going back to the question, if I'd known then how the bar was to change so dramatically over 20 years, it's not a case of would I have not wished to stay. It's a case of forewarned, yeah. And therefore, rather than having things just foisted on you, it's almost how could you get ready for what's coming, what's ahead of you.
Yeah, passing advice for future senior clerks.
What's necessary in the box isn't always on the box.
Ooh, okay, all right. Go on, flesh that out.
No, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, it's a little bit of let the buyer beware. It's an unknown. It's an unknown quantity, isn't it? Life's a box of chocolates. I mean, you never quite know what you're going to get, do you? You know. Yeah, no. You're only as good as your briefs. You're only as good as your barristers. If they all let you down, you haven't got any. Chambers falls. It's not all. No man is an island, save for a barrister. And it shouldn't be that way. But you live and die by your briefs.
So for the future, although we've talked about changes, things, not looking certain, hopeful?
Yeah. Well, we're hopeful because my glass is always half full, and this is our livelihood, and this is what we know and understand. And to be honest with you, we want to be there for, dare I say, the common man. I don't mean that man over women, but we want to be there for. They need us. The man in the street needs the bar. Okay. All right.
Right.
Cool.
Done.
Was that taped?
I don't know.
Is it really?